I started the year with 450 unread books on my shelf, and I've been picking up books from this big jar every month to read or unhaul. But after last month, where I celebrated my 10 years on Booktube and reading books that had been unread on my shelf for 10 years, I've decided to go back to the little mug that contains shelf numbers. That way I get to choose what I read. I've been really enjoying doing a 1 week, 1 shelf format ever since I separated my books from read and unread. So it gives me the chance to choose what I'm in the mood for, but I'm still forced to read the ones that are unread on my shelf. So what am I reading this week? Purple. Are you serious? Purple. Oh my god. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just a little shocked because there's only one purple paper in this whole mug. So purple is classics, which it's totally okay. I am in the mood to read classics. It's just, statistically speaking, it should have been sci-fi or fantasy, but no, shelf. I didn't have many of them when the year started, which is why I combined the two shelves. But the last book haul I did was almost exclusively classics because I was in the mood for it, but I felt like I didn't have that many options. And now I feel like I'm gonna have to tweak this a little bit and try and read the ones that I had before this year, just to stick more to the idea of reading my backlog and forgotten books. So let's see what I can find to pick in the classic shelves. Oh my gosh. Okay, so shelf number 1 and 2. So we have our classics here, but they have been spilling over here because I have bought quite a few. So I want to try to stick to the ones I had prior to this, like I was mentioning. And you know what? Let me just show you visually. So you can see now that all of these that are pulled out are all the ones I have bought this year. So I'm going to try to not pick these to start with. I do have quite a few options. I could technically try to read a couple of the shorter ones. These are some pretty fall-esque. I just did a Summerween vlog, so I'm kind of in the mood for it. But I think it would be better if I tried to read something challenging. I have a whole week, so I could pick up, actually, Villette, which I've been trying to read all the Bronte books, so that could be an option. What else do we have? That sounds good. I'm going to push them back. I'm not reading Russian classic. I have read one Virginia Woolf this year. That was enough for me. I did read, actually, Toni Morrison lately, and it was really sad, so I'm not ready for it. French classics. Ooh, actually, I have this too. Okay. I feel like I have two really good options. I have Villette by Charlotte Bronte. I've been trying to read all the Bronte sisters books, and so far my favorite is The Tenant of Wildfell Hall, which is underrated. I feel like Anne Bronte is underrated. Love that one. But yes, that could be a really good one, and it's been, you know, on my shelf for a little while. It's over 500 pages, so it's definitely a bit more intimidating. And I do have The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, which this edition will never not make me laugh because it looks so bright and fun, but I know his books are not. So I have read 2 by him. I have read East of Eden, obviously, really did enjoy that one. And I did read Of Mice and Men, which was also good. So I believe I should love this. So which one should I read? Actually, do I have some money somewhere? Okay, so I have $1, a loonie, which I'm Canadian, but I've literally never said that before, a loonie or a toonie. To be fair, I'm French Canadian, I'm Québécois, so we say une pièce, deux pièces. Instead of head or tail, we say pile ou face, so pile, the loon, is gonna be Steinbeck, and face, the queen, will be Bronte. So doesn't count. Does not count. Why can I not do it? Like, is this a sign? Like, why am I struggling? This is the little birdie, the loon. So that was Steinbeck. If it's not good, we shall blame the one pièce. So this should be good. I mean, I'm expecting emotional damage. This one is 500 and like 30 something pages, but like it's a mass market paperback. Let's just find some Post-it, which you know what, let's keep the theme of like ridiculously happy colors, which will probably not suit the book at all. So let's go read with the cats, and hopefully this becomes a new favorite. So on day one of this reading challenge, I read 70 pages. Honestly, I was struggling because of the writing style, mainly the accents, which English isn't my first language, so sometimes I still struggle, mainly again, accents, whenever they write them. In this case, I can understand, but I'm just reading it a lot slower. Classics in general can be slower, but I hadn't had an issue with Ace of Eden or Of Mice and Men, so I wasn't expecting to struggle this much. I am questioning if I picked up the wrong book for this challenge, not gonna lie. So I'm not convinced about this book yet. I finished book 2 yesterday, day 2, and I read like 134 pages. I'm at chapter 11, and yeah, I'm questioning my choice right now. Not much has happened. I mean, I understand that like the author is describing the whole poverty and desolation and like the whole capitalism. People don't even own the land that they are farming on and blah blah blah. I understand the context. Dust Bowl, I get it. They're moving to California and hoping that it's going to be better. Probably won't be. Yeah, it's one of those cases where I understand. I'm just not enjoying it yet. 134 pages is really early. So it might be a bit early. We'll see. Sometimes classics can be a bit longer to suck you in. So we'll see. Actually, I probably should put books back because I have piles of books everywhere right now. Let me give you like not a 360. I'm going to give you like a 270 of the room so you can see. It's not that messy. It's just that it's easy to accumulate piles of books when you do videos because you'll prepare challenges or you'll do like your wrap up at the end of the month and you're trying to show the books that you've had, that you've read. It's fun to hold them just to show you the size and everything. And I also have a pile on the floor of books that I let people borrow that just came back. So I have to put those back on the shelves. So some of the holes need to be filled. But I thought I would do something even better today. And I'm going to do something I should have continued doing. I did that a couple years ago. And it's to keep all the books that I bought that year in a different spot. I usually kept them in this cabinet, which I will not show you because it's so messy right now. But I usually kept them there so I could see how many books I had bought that year that I hadn't read yet. Because once they're read, they can go on this side now that they're completely separated. And I thought it would be really fun to actually show you the holes, you know, throughout the year when I'm reading the books on the unread side. And I feel like so far this year, because I would continue buying books, I would fill the holes right away. So you can see progress. And I feel like I'm craving that validation that I'm making progress. So I think I want to do that for the rest of the year. So I'm going to have to remove all of the books that I bought. I didn't do that many book hauls this year. I think I've only done 4 so far. And the last one was in May for the classics that I was mentioning in the intro, which I think that shelf is going to be the biggest one that half the books are going to go because I've all bought them this year and I've barely read any. I knew what I was doing. The numbers just had dwindled over the years, and now I finally have enough that, you know, looking at them is motivating. I want to pick up so many of them. Yes, I haven't done a book haul since May, although I have one coming up and the books are on the cabinet. So that's going to happen soon, probably like first week of September. I had a friend that wanted to go to her first library sale, and who was I to say no? And I bought a few books here and there. Otherwise, I don't think I'm planning on doing many more book hauls this year. I might pick up, I mean, I do have a few pre-orders because so many books are coming out in September. And there might be like 1 or 2 that I pick for, you know, fall reading. I really liked The Reformatory earlier this year, and I wanted to try more by the author. My library doesn't have anything by her except The Reformatory. And I've seen another one. The cover is blue. Is it like House something? That one. If you've read it, let me know if it's good because I want to get it. So we'll see what happens. But I probably should, you know, focus on the ones that are already on and the ones from the library. But when you find an author you enjoy, I want to try to read more by them. So yeah, we're going to go and pick up all of the books that I have bought this year and I haven't read this year out of the 4 book hauls so far. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be that bad because I feel like I was really good the first like 2 book hauls to read everything right away, or most of it, but it caught up to me. And I think nonfiction, I'm going to have quite a few too, because I started the year and I was reading as many nonfiction than fiction. And then I stopped. It's not a slump. I have it right here, actually. Oh, I need to check the piles on here because I have a few that are like started. I need to add them to the pile too. But I've been reading The Hot Zone for like 2 months. It's about the Ebola virus and I'm like almost done. But I haven't picked it up in a while because I'm traumatized, honestly. I'm like 258 pages in. And it's been a lot so far. I knew about the disease a little, but what it actually does to people, and then now all the tests and experiments done on the monkeys, I don't want to pick it up anymore. So I need to just suck it up and finish the last like 50 pages so I can continue reading nonfiction. Because again, I think the pile of unread books that I bought this year is going to be high. So let's do a quick cleanup and let's just see that way. I tried to do a little before after for the classics instead of doing them one by one, and you can see they weren't as empty as I thought they were, but let's move on. I only had 2 sci-fi, a handful of fantasy books, like 1 mystery thriller, and I realized that things were getting out of control when we got to the nonfiction section. You can see that's basically all I'm putting on the chair. I knew it was coming, but I was not prepared for it. And I almost forgot the ones on the desk, so let's add those too. But I think that's it. Oh my gosh. And I thought it wasn't that bad. Oh my god. This is probably more than I expected. Let me just count. I'm gonna have to see if I can find a picture of the beginning of the year. Completely forgotten that this was the state of my shelves earlier this year, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do a proper before after this year, but I'll be prepared and we'll still see a progression. Because I don't think all of these are holes from me reading the books. This one, yes. But some of these, no, for sure. But I didn't have many sci-fi, couple fantasy, but I know there are a few holes, but yeah, this is probably mostly because... So I might have forgotten 1 or 2. I'll double check at the end of the year. I like to do, or I used to like to do that video where I showed you all the books that I have bought and like, do I read the books that I buy? So I'll properly go through the list that time. But yeah, that's about the number I have. Plus those, it's more like 70 something. Okay, so not good. It is mostly classics and nonfiction, which I'm not too surprised. I don't want to DNF The Hot Zone, but I think I might force myself. One of the tips I give other people and usually try to stick to is to read like something super, like keep your goal extremely low. It could be read 1 page. Usually I give myself like 5 to 10 pages a day to read of the nonfiction or classic you're struggling with. And it usually works out. But I stopped because the monkeys. These are all the books that I'm gonna have to make space for on the cabinet. But yes, these are all the books that I bought this year that I haven't read. Again, I didn't count how many I had read, but it's probably, I want to say between 10 and 20. Like I have read a good amount of the ones that I remember buying this year. So if I can stick to what I said and only have like 1 more book haul and then maybe like 1 or 2 books that are like new releases, which I'm planning on reading as soon as possible. I feel like that's the difference. Like when I go to a library sale, they're not books that necessarily I'm dying to read right now, but they're books that I want to read eventually, compared to if I buy a book that is a new release, you know, full price from an author I've tried before, then I'm more tempted to read it right away. It just makes sense. Anyway, I'm trying to still get that to lower than 450, so we gotta work on that. So yeah. Did I show you in the 270? Let me show you the pile of shame that isn't books on the floor. This is my hobby pile. And that's why I'm always saying I can't let the cats in, because I will put everything on top of the puzzle so I can vacuum. And then it just looks like a pile of stuff and the cats would just find that super appealing. And like, I don't want them to like eat the brushes or like open up the paint. There would be paint everywhere. And anyway, or actually in the corner, I have my yoga mat, which Claudia loves to do her claws on it. That and the yoga block, one of them is completely destroyed. So yeah, I have some work to do, but I'll make you a neat little pal so I can keep count. And maybe towards the end of the year, I'll do 1 reading vlog or maybe I should do a whole month, we'll see, of me trying to read the books from that pile, just so I don't have to add them to this jar. This one, because once the end of the year arrives, that's where they're going. They become officially part of the TBR jar, and that's just, I don't want to add another 75 books in there. That would be a lot. So I better step up my game. I mean, to be fair, again, I figured out that my library card lets me borrow more books than I thought I could. It gave me access to other libraries, so now I can put like 100 books on my TBR at the library, my waiting list. So it's okay. I'll buy less books because I can borrow them. So hopefully long term, we can get that number lower. Okay, to be completely honest, I don't want the number of physical books that are unread on my shelf to ever be 0. I feel like that would be sad for me, but I want to keep up with the ones that have been there for too long, which I think is what the challenge has become for me. And earlier this year, to celebrate the 10 years, we did do one Read It, Unhaul It with the books from the first 3 book hauls I've ever done. And I checked, and I did do 3 other ones in 2016. So maybe towards the end of the year, I can do a Read It, Unhaul It that is about that second batch of book hauls. So I am not excited about it, but I think it would be really good for me. And like, if I'm not tempted to read them at all, I should just get rid of them. Like, I feel like that would be just a good rule in general. So yeah, that's gonna be enough emotionally for me today. This was a lot. I'm gonna clean them up a little bit, and I'm gonna try to give another shot to the Grapes of Wrath, and hopefully I'm gonna get back into it, because I was looking forward to that one so much. And there's nothing worse than like the books that you thought was going to be 5-star ends up being a disappointment. So I'm gonna give it another shot. Maybe it was just me. Sometimes you're just not in the mood. I had forgotten that one, so that's +1. These spirals are not gonna stay there, but like this is gonna put some pressure on me. So here's the deal. I am 190 pages into the Grapes of Wrath, and that's chapter 16, and I am hating every second of it. Okay, and I feel like there are books that there's so much pressure to like them because they're so popular, and this is like an American classic, but I feel like you can appreciate the message or the importance of a book and still not enjoy reading it, which this is where I'm at. I'm a little confused because I had really liked his other books, and that's why I made it so far into it. But at this point, I'm just torturing myself. Like, I'm not enjoying it. I don't hate the main story, but there are more and more like random chapters, and like I understand they're adding context, blah blah. I get it, but I freaking hate it. So normally, younger me would have absolutely forced herself to finish it, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it more. I would have just resented the whole thing. So instead, I'm just gonna give up. It's listen, not for everything in life, but learning to give up on books has made my quality of life better. I am less in reading slumps. So that's it. I'm done. I don't think I finished showing you the cleanup because I didn't actually finish. I mean, the desk area is empty of books except like 3 that I'm in the middle of. A couple more that I was in the middle of are back on the shelf because I know myself. But I emptied one shelf in the cabinet, and that's what I'm exclusively gonna bring on the screen right now. Look at me. So I have all the books, and I even counted them and put them on a little post-it. So I have technically 57 unread books that I bought during the year so far. And I did not go ahead and count the ones that I had read out of all the ones I had bought again in the year. So out of that number, there are only 9 that are fiction and not classics. So I think that's why I'm looking at it and I don't feel super intimidated, because I have 16 classics and 32 nonfiction. But I just know myself at this point that I much prefer reading physical copies of these genres. So again, I know that over time I will be going through them. 32 nonfiction is a bit heavy, but again, I was on a huge kick in the beginning of the year. So yes, now it would be time to pick another book, another classic for, you know, the challenge. And I know what I said in the intro, we're just gonna all forget about it, okay? I don't have time to read Villette, and honestly, I deserve break. No, I'm actually just staring at this pile of books and I want to read one, okay? Just so it can be removed and it can be never added to the big jar. And, you know, we can put 2 books in there, okay? I deserve it. I technically should unhaul it since I didn't finish it, but I don't think I will. I'm going to put it on my shelf as a trophy. I survived 190 pages. Maybe one day, no, never. Maybe one day I will want to give it a second shot. It's not happening. So I'm done with this. I'm so done with this. And yes, we're going to go pick a book. Also, I've been thinking about something. So you know the little jar, which I'm actually currently using to put you on with all the numbers of the shelves. I'm enjoying doing it, okay? That way, like one shelf instead of the big jar, I'll probably go back to it. It's just, it gives me leeway. I can choose whatever I want to read. So depending on how I'm feeling, I'll flip-flop between the 2. But here's the thing. There are 2 questions. One, should I put back the shelf I have already picked? Because so far I've kept them out of the jar, so I couldn't pick the same shelf twice. But it could be funny to constantly pick the same shelf accidentally. So I'm letting you decide on that. And I also thought I should add a last shelf that is the new shelf, which I've done that again in the past. So I could add like bonus shelf or whatever we want to call this one of the books that I bought this year. And if I pick this one, I have to only read books that I bought this year. That could be an option too. Anyway, you have your 2 questions. Now we're gonna go check that shelf and see what we can read. We do have 16 options, so let's find out. So we have our classics. Listen, let's be real, I'm not reading any of the big ones, okay? It's not happening. So the short ones, we do have The Prince, which I feel like this one I would need some kind of context, historical context, so I might not pick that up right now. I do have Eaten From, which I was told is set in winter, which currently is really hot, so maybe that could be, you know, good for me. I could decide to torture myself and read. Can you imagine if I picked up another Johnstone? It's an option, it's there. Otherwise, shorter, I do have The Trial, which I did read in the book by the author. I did like it, so that could be a good one. I feel like this one is starting to be a bit longer. Did I say these 2 books? I have read The Age of Innocence by the author, and I did enjoy it. So there's that. These ones are too big, and the French classics are too big, I think. So out of this, I think that what makes the most sense would be this one, because yes, it's short, but also it's set during the winter and heat waves after heat waves. Let's do that. And just to see, these are the options that I have that could be the better option, but you know, I want to keep like Lords of the Fly for like a challenge when I read like high school books I never got to read. Otherwise, the only other one that is short is this one, and I might just want to keep it for the fall instead. Or the Nutcracker, that's more Christmassy, you know? That's why I want to try the other ones. And the other shorter ones over there, I am not ready to read another Toni Morrison. So I think this one is our most reasonable option. Again, it is one that I bought this year, but it's okay. I think this one, the man starts getting a crush on his wife's cousin, yeah, that he hired. A classic, and it's only like 100 pages, so it's not too bad depending on the writing, which I've noticed. I'm trying to like figure out exactly the dates, but I feel like I prefer older classics like Jane Austen-esque timeline compared to like more modern ones. Like I did like East of Eden, okay, but this one is set was published in 2005. No. Which one was this one? Where is it? Am I blind? 1911. Oh, shit. That is a lot more recent than I thought. So we're going to confirm with this because I'm trying to like exactly know which dates work for me. And I think 1800s and a little prior work better for me than more modern ones. When was this one published? More recently than that for sure, but like 1939. So it is a bit older, but not that much older. So let's test it, but it's definitely giving winter vibes, and we've only gotten a lot more rain actually. Can you see how dark it is? It is the morning. Can you tell? You can't. So, okay, 100 pages. I can do this because if I continued, I would never finish and I would never read another book again. So I have finished the book and I have an opinion.
That isn't me just purely hating it. Listen, I went into this book and I wasn't sure at first if I was supposed to empathize with the main male character, which it started that way. And I wasn't sure because female authors, sure, but in the early 1900s, my gosh, I was born in the 1900s, early 1900s, how she would feel about the situation. So, long story short, this man, Ethan, seems very miserable and has like something about his hips. He's like, how do you say that in English? When he walks, some kind of disability, and this man gets a ride from him. That's how it starts, and then you get his past story. And this is where, I don't know if it's because I'm looking at it from the lens, the 2026 lens, as always, I can't help it, or it's because I've read one too many female revenge story and rooting for her, that I just felt like you're not the victim here, Ethan. Like, it doesn't work. Because poor Ethan, his mother was sick, and he got the woman who would become his wife to take care of her. And when his mother passed away, he marries her, and then she becomes sick. And from his point of view, it's like, I felt, duped, because I thought she was so good to my mother because, she was just a woman. But no, it's because she must have hidden that she had these kind of things too. And like, when she wasn't taking care of someone else, then, she was the one complaining. She's so mean to me. She's spending all my money trying to find doctors to help her. And all I feel like is like, oh, this woman developed probably some kind of autoimmune disease being around you, because apparently all the women are getting sick around you, or maybe just because the stress of taking care of your mother. And then she's trying to get better and being gaslit by doctors. This is what I'm retaining from the story. And then when she gets sick, they get her cousin, I don't remember her name. They don't even say it in the packet. They just say Xena, his wife. Anyway, Xena's cousin to come and help her. And of course, poor Ethan sees a new fresh victim, and he's like, oh, actually, I think I have a crush on her. And with all the subtlety, I'm sure, his wife definitely did not see it coming, definitely could not feel it. And he doesn't know if the cousin also have a thing for him, like it's vague for a second, what's going on. And then Xena has to go to a different town to get the newest expensive treatment for her health, and they might spend a whole day alone together in the house for the first time ever. So like, he's imagining what the perfect day would be together, and like maybe they should run away together before even discussing it with her. And yeah, part of him is like, I can't really do that because I would leave like no money to Xena like that. What do I do? Anyway, that's the story. And then there's an ending, and I appreciate that there's an actual ending. I have opinions about that, but that would be a spoiler. But I was unsure how the reception of the book must have been at the time, so I googled it. And from what I understood, the male critiques and writers that talked about it were like, this is not a novel, first of all. This is like a reminiscence. Whatever, dude. Talking about morality and blah, blah, blah. I thought it was an interesting idea. I can't say like I loved reading it because, again, for like half of it, I'm like questioning, are we supposed to empathize with Ethan or not? Actually, like I said when I first picked it up, I feel like I prefer older classics. And I appreciate that, reading that is making me realize this. But I can appreciate that this was written about actually not poor, but poor people, compared to a lot of novels written, and also her other novels. I did like The Age of Innocence by her, but still, that was part of the things that I learned when I was Googling it. But yes, it's not bad. Like a 3.5. I'm going to round it down to a 3. It did what it needed to do. I read it. I had opinions. I had thoughts. And I finished it. Compared to the other the book in this video, which I will have nightmare about it for a while. Actually, I need to put the papers. Let's go in the other room. Actually, do you want to see cats first? We have Charlie Baby. And we have... oh, Chunky, who has an opinion about being on camera. I'm sorry. I have bills to pay. You gotta show your pretty face. We are back. Okay, so, like I was saying, I do have like flashbacks of this. Honestly, I'm not even mad about it. Ultimately, I still think this was a successful week. I have 2 books to add to the jar.
but I attempted something that was scary, you know, that's an intimidating book. It wasn't my first one, which helped, but it really did not go as planned. And you know what? I appreciate that on here you let me have unpopular opinions, or like, I feel like there's just so much pressure to like some books that people are scared to say when they don't. And I feel safe doing that because I know you guys will understand. Like, I can't like everything, and some of my opinions might sometimes be surprising, maybe not for this one, but you know, it happens. Did you know, by the way, that one of the most common questions I get when people hear that I read books on YouTube, they ask me if I actually read the books, which I always think, I mean, I understand because some people do read like 300 books, I get that, but I always think it's funny because how could I not? Because like, what if something happens in the book that I've complained before about? And like, I always have things to say, sometimes weirdly specific things that stood out. I could not do that without actually reading the book. And like, I would be scared, what if I miss something? And like, it just seems like much more stress and trouble. Like, what do you do? Like, Google and read a bunch of reviews? Might as well read the book. Anyway, I appreciate your support, even in my unpopular opinions. I don't know how unpopular this is going to be, but like, I hate every second of it. And then 2. So that's 2 books. We have the papers. I wrote them, and then we get to put them in the jar, which honestly, it's looking pretty good so far. I feel like we went through a lot. These are the first purple because yes, we pick a couple from the big jar, but pick no classic this year. And then there was one purple paper in the small jar, small mug, and yay. So here we go. Now you do have to let me know. Do I put back, you know, the ones in the tiny mug? Do I put the bonus one? You choose. Actually, I get to. This isn't actually an official list, but I now have 56 unread books, 15 classics, unread. The only thing is I do have a book haul. No comments. But like, there's a few more. Listen, I went to a library sale with a friend, okay? And like, I'll get to them eventually. Did I mention? I feel like I mentioned that I'm gonna have to do part 2 of like reading books that I bought 10 years ago. Yeah, so I'm just preparing for later. In 10 years, I need to have more books. Am I still gonna be here? Are you guys still gonna be here? I don't know. We'll find out. So I hope you enjoyed watching me struggle. But hey, I would rather have 2 books I have strong opinions on than like a bunch of bleh. There's nothing worse than trying to read a book that you're like, review a book that you're just feeling, meh, it was fine, I guess. So, more videos on the screen if you actually haven't seen me struggling reading the books that I bought 10 years ago. Would check that out. And I also did, what did I do? Popular books that I think are worth the hype. And whew, I'm gonna go to bed now, so bye.